Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Monday afternoon Skill Building Monday Drawing Group. I'm your host, Jason Leeser, and thank you for joining us today. It is Monday, March 25th. It is noon. And if this is working for you, please let us know in the comments and in the chats, and please tag a friend who loves tattoos. And welcome to Guy Aitchison's Reinventing the Tattoo community, where tattooers, apprentices, collectors, and the curious are encouraged to join in these live streams, real world events, to share and inspire and ultimately create better art and tattoos together. With your help, we have evolved into a quality network of amazing live and on demand tattoo and art shows that have all been receiving rave reviews. You can find Reinventing the Tattoo in both of the app stores, the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store, as well as our Reinventing the Tattoo YouTube channel, our Reinventing the Tattoo Roku channel, which has 12 to 15 different episodes going at any given time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, as well as all of the major podcast directories such as Apple and Spotify. Or you can do what most people do and just pull up your browser and do a quick search for Reinventing the Tattoo. And you'll find it all, except for the book, which is still currently out of print. So if you come across a copy, please let me know. I'm still trying to get my hands on another copy because they're kind of hard to find these days. But no matter where you were watching live or on demand, you can always get the latest and greatest, most up-to-date information all available at www.reinventingthetattoo.com. You can try it out for free. We have three different options that you can use to try it out. You can get a sample webinar from the Reinventing the Tattoo Canon, or you can get some free advice from Guy Aitchison about your unique goals, or you can take a comprehensive tattoo history course from Jay Brown. Fellow tattoo history nerds such as myself would absolutely love the tattoo history course. I cannot stress it enough. It's awesome. At reinventingthetattoo.com, you can also find a full event schedule with full weekly and special event live stream details. So if you wanted to jump into a show like this one, all of those links are listed in the calendar at reinventingthetattoo.com. While there, you also have access to our Reinventing 24/7 channel, which is a lot like our Roku channel. It's got 13 different episodes going at any given time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and that is accessible on all web enabled devices. As well, at reinventingthetattoo.com, you can also find access to professional development courses and on demand seminars from over 20 world class tattoo artists. So if you wanted to learn how to tattoo a skull like Bob Tyrell, you can find it there. If you wanted to learn how to do a koi fish half sleeve like Andre Malcolm, you can find that there as well. That and a whole lot more can all be found at www.reinventingthetattoo.com. Once again, if this is working for you, please let us know in the comments and in the chat, and please tag a friend who loves tattoos. We have a number of weekly staple shows we always encourage people to tune into. Starting off on Mondays at 9 a.m., we have Drawing for Tattooers with James Wisdom. Great place to go where we can all get back to our fundamentals of being fine artists in this world of tattooing that we live in. It's a great way to go through and kind of dial back in some of those core elements that really allow us to shine through and help us to refine our own style. Following the Drawing for Tattooers with James Wisdom show at 9 a.m. on Mondays, you have this show, Skill Building Monday Drawing Group, with me, Jason Leeser. And this is hosted every Monday at noon. It's a great place to come through to take a look and share what you've been working on. Maybe if you're looking for a critique or some feedback on a tattoo or a drawing or a painting. Maybe you're here to work on some Procreate skills or trying to really figure out some stuff that's going to help you take everything to another level, but you really want to find a place to drill down on it. This is the perfect place to go. Following Skill Building Monday drawing group at 9 p.m. on Mondays, we have a subscribers exclusive drawing group with Sandy McAndrew from the Reinventing the Tattoo Network, where we get to go through and do some follow-up practices every week on a chapter from the Reinventing the Tattoo canon. For those of you that are out there that are wondering whether or not getting a canon or an evolution subscription is going to be worth it, from personal experience, these Monday evening drawing groups are well worth the price alone. They're absolutely incredible, and I cannot stress that enough. If you look at the stuff I was doing before I started doing those and the stuff I'm doing now, there is a monumental difference. Following all of that, on Tuesday at 11 a.m., we have the Tattoo Weekly Show with Gabe Ripley, Lauren Gregory, and Fawn Baker. And that's a great place to go to keep up to date on all of the new information going on in the industry, whether it's legislation being passed or bills or how that's going to impact different things, or maybe it's new technology. All of that and more comes through during the Tattoo Weekly at 11 a.m. on Tuesday mornings. On Wednesday mornings at noon, we have the Tattoo Now show with Gabe Ripley, where we get to go through and do a deeper dive into the business aspect behind tattooing. Maybe it's marketing, maybe it's advertising, maybe it's talking about travel visas, maybe it's trying to streamline your client booking process. All of that and a lot more is discussed during the Tattoo Now show with Gabe Ripley. That's Wednesdays at noon. And capping off our week on Thursdays at 6 p.m., we have the Tattoo Collecting 101 podcast with Fawn Baker. Great place for us to go through and share some of our stories and adventures on our road as we go through and collect tattoos from different people. Following all of our virtual events, we have a special event coming up May 17th through 19th. Reinventing the Tattoo will be live from Columbus, Ohio at the Hell City Tattoo Convention. Oh, yeah. We've got special guest artists at Hell City that include, but are not limited to, Paul Booth, Derb Morrison, Joe Capobianco, Jimmy Litwalk, Nico Perez, Ty McEwen, James Vaughn, Jesse Levitt, Ron Earhart, Marshall Bennett, and of course, yours truly, who will be working alongside my good friend, Seth Mushrush. And there are going to be a ton of incredible, absolutely unbelievably talented artists at Hills City. That is May 17th through 19th in Columbus, Ohio. Following that, Reinventing the Tattoo also has another live event coming up. June 23rd through 25th, Reinventing the Tattoo will be live in Columbus, Ohio again at a special live event hosted at the Red Tree Gallery, and that is going to be co-hosted by Rember and Rember Studios, and it is going to be awesome. So if you're looking for great seminars to attend and you can't make it to Hell City, take a look at the Reinventing the Tattoo live event coming up June 23rd through 25th. Would like to go through and say a very quick thank you and shout out to our sponsors. First is worldtattooevents.com, the largest, most comprehensive resource for tattoo events worldwide. They are constantly keeping everything updated. As we know, tattoo events and conventions are still getting rescheduled in this post-pandemic era. So if you're looking for the most up-to-date tattoo event information coming to a city or town near you, or maybe it's one you want to visit, it's how I plan all my vacations, take a look at worldtattooevents.com. Also would like to say thank you to tattoonow.com, technology for tattooers, the leading edge in professional development, management, and digital tools for tattooers of all levels. They're 100% competitive with any type of CRM mailing list or scheduling software out there. So if you're, oh, looks like I just lost my video. 1 second, folks. Hold on. There we go. That should bring us back up. And this is technology for you. I love it. It's been one of those weeks so far. So if you're looking to bring in more clients to help you, if you're looking to get more people to come through the door that really want to get the kind of work that you really want to do, take a look at tattoonow.com. Would also like to thank Guy Aitchison over at guyaitchison.com. He is the founder and inspiration behind Reinventing the Tattoo. Go to guyaitchison.com where you can pick up a copy of his Biomech Encyclopedia. He's got some awesome tutorial DVDs. I think he still has a couple of custom coil machines for sale, as well as countless fine art prints and the occasional oil painting, all for sale at guyaitchison.com. Would also like to say a very special thank you and shout out to the Apprenticeship Diaries with Amy Nichols, one of the best resources for people that are thinking about becoming a tattoo apprentice and want to know more about what's involved. Take a look at the Apprenticeship Diaries podcast hosted by Amy Nichols. We ask if you like today's show, please go through and post a positive review on the channel. Help us get the word out. If you would like to host a Reinventing the Tattoo event, become a sponsor of our community, or if you are looking for a fine art or a tattoo critique, you can always email management at reinventingthetattoo.com and we will get back to you as soon as we can. Today on our show, we've got a very, very special guest, someone that I've had the pleasure and privilege of going through and learning from in the past few years. We've got Haley Adams beaming in all the way from San Francisco. What's up?
What's up? How are you? It's nice to see you again.
Likewise, likewise. I can't thank you enough for doing that the space and galaxy seminar that you did. I still have my little gift bag filled with everything, including the little green space stuff, the coloring, the markers, the pencils. I still have all of that. That's like tucked
That's
away
awesome.
in my special little safe area. Because like I don't know, you're awesome and I learned a lot from it. So thank you for that. I really, really appreciated it. And it taught me a lot too, because I've done a couple of Galaxy sleeves since then, and a lot of that information was perfect.
Yeah. Oh, I want to see them. You gotta send them to me.
Yeah. Oh, I will. I will.
That's
I'll send you
awesome.
a text after this, and yeah,
Cool.
I'll have you go through and critique me. I only have like 12 hours into like the upper arm, so I still have a little bit more spit and polish to put into it, but it's at a decent point so far, so I'm very excited for that. So thank you for that.
Do you
Thank you for the
do you
offer.
do like sections at a time, or are you a person who does like a certain order?
So it kind of depends on what the client's budget is, in my opinion. Like I'll
Yeah.
work small sections at a time if they're working with a smaller budget, and it's like, all right, cool. We'll do a
Yeah.
planet here. Oh, okay, you've got a little bit of a bigger budget. Cool. Let's throw a galaxy here because that's going to take a little bit more time. If they've
Yeah. So
got
you
a
don't leave them
nice,
hanging with like some
exactly.
outline and stuff. Yeah. That's
Yeah, I
smart.
mean, I prefer to go through and kind of map everything out with gray lines first and then go back through. And it's like, cool, you're a coloring book. Now we can work on your time and your dime. You want to come in and get 3 or 4 hours done? Great. You want to come in and get a full day booked? Awesome. Whatever you can afford after that is, what we can work on. So it kind of breaks things up nicely as far as that goes. But like I said, it all depends on the client budget. So,
Yeah. Makes
but
sense.
I do have some questions for you. This is my
Okay.
first time actually interviewing you. Oh,
This is
hi
Kruger. He's
there.
real nice. He just likes to hang out while I draw. He's a good
Oh,
guy.
so cute. So cute.
He's my
Um,
roommate.
right on, right on. Um, so I do have some interview questions, knowing that you've been interviewed by plenty of different news outlets and had articles written about you in different places. This is my first time actually getting to like interview you in
I,
that kind of a depth.
I'm
So I'm very
excited to see
excited.
you. It's less
Uh,
than, it's like, I feel like I know you, so I'm not like
I
nervous, you know? Like,
exactly right. I mean, when you've shared a handful of cocktails at a bar at 11 o'clock at night up in Jiminy Peak, you get to know people pretty well. The truth comes out.
Yeah, totally.
Those were some good times. But tell us a little bit about yourself. What's your background? Where do you come from? I know you've gone from like coast to coast on
Yeah.
your tattoo journey. Just give us a little bit of background history about yourself so that we know
Okay.
a little bit more about you.
So I'm from all over. My family moved from state to state a lot, but I started my apprenticeship whenever I was 15 in Missouri. And then whenever I was 17, I packed up and moved to North Carolina because I had lived there before, and I was like, maybe that'll, be nice. Um, And then in North Carolina, I met some cool people and started really like growing my color work and tattoo work and stuff. And I had the dream of moving to San Francisco and owning a shop in San Francisco. And that was like the whole goal for from then on, right? And so I moved to Phoenix to get closer to California. And then once I thought that my work was like hireable in San Francisco, I tested it out with like, some shops. And then I was like, all right, I'm ready. I can go there now. So now I own a shop in San Francisco and I'm about to hit 19 years of tattooing. Yeah.
Bravo. Bravo. That's not an easy task to accomplish.
No, that's wild.
Yeah.
I'm stoked.
Yeah. I was going to say, I think I maybe have 15 years in. I think I'm going to hit 15 years this September.
That's awesome.
I have to math that and like,
Yeah.
do the thing with numbers, and I'm not very good at that. But it's one of those situations where like, you lose track of time after a while. But I've seen artists come and go, and I've seen some of them leave and, maybe revisit it, 5-10 years later. My one friend, Bob, I don't know if he's watching today. He tunes in sometimes. I saw him, he had just finished up like an apprenticeship, and the studio he was at, kind of folded. So he opened up his own one, and then there were complications with that. So he closed that down. And then, he gave me a call one day and he's like, yeah, so I'm not going to be around for a little while. I'm going to go on a walkabout and just kind of see the world. And I was like, all right, dude, be safe. Have fun. And I
I'm
didn't
kind of
hear from
seeing
him.
that a lot lately. Like,
Yeah.
since it's one of the slowest seasons we've seen in like a decade,
Mhm.
I'm hearing a lot more tattoo artists being like, "Oh, I think I'm gonna get a second job," or like just like putting their energy towards a different career. And I mean, we got a weird slow season this last year, so I don't blame them. But there's been multiple times in my career where it's like, all right, you got to stick it out. Who's gonna buy the $5 Little Caesar pizza? We're all gonna arm wrestle for it,
Yeah.
It's like, but it's worth it, like, because it just goes up and down, and whatever you're along for,
Right.
you get to stay at the best job ever.
Absolutely. It's, can you stick it out? Can you see it through the tough times? And
Yeah.
if you can, then you get to reap the rewards. If you can't,
Hmm.
then by all means, go pick up that second job and make that, everything that you wanted to do. But you're right. This past year has been really, really rough.
Yeah.
Some people say it's the worst it's been in, 10 years. Some say 15. For some people, it's the worst that they've ever seen. Um,
Yeah.
you know, and it's like, they were used to that, um, the previous 10 years, that first few
Where it's
years
a
after that
boom, right?
recession started coming out, after like 2008, 2009, that recession kind of lifted off and people started to gain momentum, making more money, and,
It
everything
was
was going great.
huge.
Yeah. And, so that's what people knew. And now they're like, what is this?
I'm
What do
like, I
you,
remember this 10 years ago whenever you'd go to work and you'd be like, I hope I make the gas money to get back home.
yeah,
I'm like, it's fine. Like,
yeah,
I'm also not struggling as hard as them. Like, my books just went down from like a year to 6 months booked. And then I'm
yeah.
like, oh, I'm still booked through slow season. So I don't have the right to talk about it too much, but I know that it's fucking hard and I've been there before.
And it's not fun, but you know what? That's okay. The way I look at it, I don't believe in a slow season. I believe that there's painting season and then there's tattooing season, right?
There absolutely is painting season.
Because you can always take those paintings and sell those later on if you need to as a source of income, and
We hope that people
or
buy
make
these. So
prints, making
yeah,
prints has become a huge secondary market. um I started to get into that, and I started making prints for a couple of people back during the pandemic, and it's awesome. It takes a bit more work than a lot of people think, but
You mean
it's
like
great
screen
for
printing prints or?
no, like fine art, Gleesy prints.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
Is that what
real
you're
fine
teaching
art.
a seminar in
It
Paradise?
is. It is. I did it
Ooh,
last
that's
year and I got a
exciting.
handful of people there. I plan on doing it again this year. And actually, if I can fit it in my Jeep, I want to bring my printer and like a roll of paper up there to
Sick.
actually run stuff off while things are going. Um,
I'm
I
gonna
just
bring my
hope,
drawings.
yeah, let me know. I'll bring a scanner too, and we can scan it and run prints right
How
there
big's your
on the
scanner?
spot. 11 by 17.
Nice.
Yeah. I specifically got it just so that I could scan flash sheets, um, and make copies of those without having to like tile those together. But anything bigger than that, and it's like, all right, where's my digital camera?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I got to like stitch it all together and make sure that the lighting's right for the color correction, but that's a different story. So back to, some of these interview questions. You and I can talk for like hours about nothing. So I'm
Yeah, exactly. We could just keep
trying
going.
to stay
They'll be less
focused.
entertained, but
Well, it is what it is, though. It's what makes for a good interview is having that kind of personal connection.
I like it.
So if you had to pick like one single event or like inspiring moment, something like that, that really made you turn around and say, this is what I want to do for a living. I want to be a tattoo artist. This is the only thing I can do to be happy. What would that be?
So, this is ridiculous. But whenever I was around 7 years old, my older sisters came home with tattoos. I think they must have been like 14 and 15. And I wasn't allowed to tell my mom, and they showed me in secret and was like, yeah, somebody did this to me. They like colored on me. It's going to be there forever. And I was like, it's gonna be there forever, like, and literally from then on is whenever I'm like, I'm gonna be a tattoo artist. I'm gonna be a tattoo artist, and like at first it's just something you say, and then I was like practicing as a little kid drawing barbed wire a lot. Unfortunately, barbed wire went out of style, and I didn't get to like actually tattoo it for years. But I got so good at it. But the drawing was already an addiction for me, and then once I actually got into tattooing, it felt right, and I can't say I've ever wavered from it. I've been obsessed with it, and like, how do I get better for the entire past 19 years? Like, it's incredible. I'm so glad I figured it out early. People don't figure out their careers very early and spend a lot of time lost. I'm so lucky.
Yeah, I'm in the same kind of boat, became obsessed with it when I was a teen, and it's like I've geared my entire life towards it. It's this like
Yeah,
compulsion that we have to like do this. One artist I was speaking to a while back said that it's more like a calling. There are people out there that get called to become a firefighter, right?
yeah.
It's just this deep-seated internal like drive to achieve this and to become this. And it's the only way they can really feel fulfilled in life. Um, and so I've when they said that to me, it kind of rang true. And I was like, oh man, that hits the nail on the head.
I think it's an
Um,
addiction.
oh, absolutely.
You're like, oh yeah,
Absolutely.
I can do better than that, and I feel like I say that to myself every time.
Hmm.
Like, all right, that was all right, that was all right. Like, listen, I'm gonna step it up a notch. Like,
Yeah,
that's every fucking tattoo, and you're like, what? Like, it'll never end. You can't actually achieve being the best in the world. It's like, because it's also subjective. Like,
right.
what does that even mean, the best in the world? So there's no ceiling. You just get to keep going. It's kind of messed up, but
It is. I like that though, because
I love it.
it's like when you set your goal so high that you won't ever be able to achieve it, but you're still going to try your absolute hardest to get there. You just
Then
keep climbing.
halfway.
You get,
Yeah,
you
halfway is
just
pretty
keep
fucking
going.
good.
Yeah, absolutely. It's awesome, but you're right. It's like, that's why we do what we do. It's that constant drive. I also love that feeling you get when you have a client that, you did a tattoo on them and you thought it turned out all right. Maybe you could do a little bit better, but then you see them like a year or two down the road with everything fully healed, and you're like, wait, I did that? I didn't
Yeah,
do that.
sometimes.
Where'd you go to get that touched up? Like, who did that? That
Like that
wasn't
shit
me.
looks sick because there's
Yeah.
a lot of like self-hatred in tattooing, and we focus a lot on like criticizing ourselves really harshly.
Right.
Um, so it is like once you do have distance from a piece, then it does feel a lot better. Like
Yeah.
to see it again years later, and you're like, oh fuck yeah, like
Yeah. It's like, damn, that turned out great.
like what was I doing hating myself that whole time? That shit's sick. I want one. Like
Right. And it's like, man, I wish that was on me.
yeah, I do that sometimes. Whenever it's like the outer space stuff or like the organic biomech that I do, I'm like, can you just cut off your skin and tape it to me? Not in a weird way, but like, like
Yeah. Not trying to
this
be
is
weird here, but
fine.
I want your skin.
Yeah, you can have mine. It looks
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. Cool. Who would you say some of your biggest influences in this industry are, or inspirations, or people that you really kind of look up to, and people that you really try to like, okay, this is someone I really want to achieve that kind of a level one day.
um, I
Whether fine art or tattooer, doesn't matter.
yeah.
Down
Well,
for anything.
okay. Guy Aitchison obviously has this aspect that I'm really into, which is like being really into like the education side of tattooing. Um, like I love going to seminars and I love teaching seminars, and I relate to him in the way of like sometimes he like is just experimenting with something, and then maybe he'll show us, like, oh well, now I'm building like clay models of biomech, and that way I can get the lighting just right. I feel this like I'm the same type of nerd so like that would like just dive into like weird shit. Or I think he did that thing, it was a long time ago, where comparing like, I think it was like a rotary machine and a tattoo machine, and just like looking at it under a microscope and seeing the consistency or something. I'm like, I love that shit. I like it when the lighting is perfect and stuff like that. So I think he is really cool. And I'm not just saying that because he created Reinventing the Tattoo. Um, but whenever also I used to be, I think I was about 15, 16, and I saw Nick Baxter's meat suitcase, the like piece of steak with the papers coming out, and I was like, oh fuck yeah, like this guy gets it. So I really like just not your typical tattooing. um I have a steak from Nick Baxter now because I'm like, yo, your marbling on that steak was so good. It changed my life. And mine is like a steak in a terrarium. So there's like, to make it look like glass, I watch him like mix a little bit of like light gray with every color that was behind the glass, and everything that was out of the glass was, your straightforward colors or mixed colors. But I really like the way he tattoos, and Ty McEwen. Yeah, as tattoo artists, and then like illustrators, I'm like, yo, Ken Kelly is the shit. I love his water.
Yeah.
And he apprenticed under Frazetta, and I'm like, yo, Frazetta's sick, but like, have you seen King Kelly's water? Like,
Right.
they're both very cool.
Yeah, I think so I was at the show I was just at this past weekend. There was someone there that ran like an oddities booth, and they had a whole bunch of these really super dope frames with a lot of the Franzetta prints in them. Um and I remember one of my clients, I'm going to see if I can reach back out to them. I haven't seen them in a few years, but I want to reach back out to them because there's apparently a whole museum on the East Coast dedicated to that artwork, like done by him.
Whoa.
So I have to find some more about it, but apparently they knew someone that was like the child or a relative of Franzetta and has a lot of originals at their house.
Whoa. And they just like let people see this Rosetta shit. That's fucking sick.
Yeah. So
I would go to that any day.
yeah.
I like
So
that he used his wife as a model like all the time.
oh
I thought
yeah.
it's so fucking cute, and um I like the way he draws women. Like he
Yeah.
keeps like the curves on them and stuff like this. It's like makes like for like a hotter woman, I think. But like oh, it's like real, you know? Like
Yeah, yeah.
it's
It's
not
like,
like
wow, this is like an
the
actual
boobs are
human.
so
Yeah.
shiny and whatever. It just doesn't do that. It's cool.
Yeah.
It's like, and she looks kind of fucking tough. I love that.
Yeah. I mean, who doesn't love a super tough chick?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I feel you. I just watched this
So
new movie called Love Lies Bleeding, and it's like Kristen Stewart in love with like a bodybuilder, and then they, kill people and shit. Hot muscle babe, super sick, and she's like femme, she's like more femme, and she's like ripped. It was so cool. Y'all should see it. Especially like on the if we're talking about like Heavy Metal Magazine and
oh god,
Frazetta
yeah.
and King Kelly, yo, Muscle Babes, that's where it started,
We need to bring that back. We need to
That
bring it
shit's
back.
so cool. Fuck. I have like every heavy metal almost with like a.
I was looking at that behind you. Yeah.
Oh my god, look at this one. I'll put it under the drawing one.
Oh.
So sick.
Is that's
so
a Vallejo?
Buff.
Is that Vallejo cover art?
Oh, I have no idea. Oh, it says it's Boris.
Boris Vallejo, yeah.
Oh yeah, that's so sick.
Hell yeah.
Her like veins are like popping out and shit. I'm like, and she's a total fucking babe. Like, let's bring it back. Bring it back.
We're bringing it back. All right, it's official.
We're bringing it back.
Happening.
We're bringing back
It's
Muscle
happening.
Babes. 10 out of 10.
So knowing that you're working with markers right now,
Yeah.
right? And that flash sheet, by the way, and let me see if I can spotlight this real quick. I'm just gonna switch that out there. That is super sick.
Let me try to move it into the.
Would you say that markers are your primary medium outside of like tattooing? Or is that your preferred medium?
I wouldn't exactly say that. I would say that marker is what I use whenever I want to get an idea out fast. And acrylic is what I use whenever I want like a sharp image with a lot of detail. And then oil is what I use whenever I want something to be like kind of more dreamy, like if I'm doing like a portrait or something like that. Because oil has that texture, right? Yeah. So I like them all. I like watercolor too, and that's only I don't know, whenever I feel like inspired to do it, but I can do some realistic watercolor, which is weird. I'm like, I like oil better for skin.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm always curious about that because, especially with different artists, you can start to kind of see a translation between like the way that they work with secondary mediums. And I say secondary only because I consider a lot of the artists that I interview on here to be tattooers first,
Oh yeah,
as
I
like their
agree with that.
primary
We do
medium.
that way more.
Because that's why we're on here. That's what we're talking about. That's why it's not an acrylic painting, podcast. It's a tattoo focused podcast. So outside of that, but if you look at all of these other artists' work, you can see who diversifies. You can see who's like, I'm an oil painter. That's what I do. Here's my oil paintings, and my tattoos look exactly like my oil paintings, and it works great. You can see the same thing with people that do marker renderings, right? Dave Tevenaugh's a perfect example of that. He brought some of the Prisma and Copic marker renderings really to the forefront about 10 years ago, and it took off. Very graphic illustration kind of stuff, and
Damn, I
you can
want to see
see that
that because I'm like
reflected.
all obsessed.
Oh, he is ridiculously fast when it comes to marker renderings.
Yeah, markers are
Ridiculous.
speedy.
Yeah,
They don't have like very good light fastness, so your drawing does not
that's
last forever. But you make a print of it, if you want to keep it.
yeah, yeah. I'll
Well, for
yeah,
graphic
maybe
design,
after this I'll break out some of the originals I have from Dave, and I'll send you
That's
some photos of them.
yeah, I
But I
love
mean,
marker shit. This shit is so fun.
yeah, he'll belt out a 13 by 19 marker rendering in like 2-3 hours, like
Hell
start
yeah.
to finish. And watching him do that, and I have been very fortunate to watch him work on a work of art from start to finish before in person. And it is mind blowing how just the way his mind works. And he's like, oh yeah, and we're just gonna like scribble some of this in here, and then we're gonna do some of this over here, and then we're gonna use this over here. And you want to see a drop shadow real quick? Check this out. Boom, 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 done. And you step back and you look at it and you're like, I know I just watched him make that, but how did he make that? So it's fascinating to watch people work with that, and just working in different mediums too. You know, um, for example, the flash sheet that you have up there that you've been working on, I looking at that, I feel like it could be done in watercolor or liquid acrylics or marker, or it could be done in any number of different mediums.
Yeah,
Um, so it's super versatile imagery, but knowing that you used marker with it, it's like, oh man, that's tight. Getting
it's
all that
wild the
little
way they
texture
work.
in there. Yeah,
Yeah, because I feel like color pencil and marker are the most similar to tattooing because you can only layer so much and things are very visible when you do it. Like the colors aren't super opaque, We have opaque
right,
colors in tattooing, but you can't really go over them. You have to like blend,
right, 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 right.
It gets me
Cool.
in that groove.
Oh, absolutely. Um, so back to my interview questions. Have you noticed any kind of a correlation between the paintings and drawings that you do and the tattoos that you create? Have you like done any kind of
I
self-analysis in that aspect?
I swear to God, with every painting or extensive marker drawing I do, my tattooing grows. I think it just solidifies something in your head, and there's something about having the freedom to like work something out on paper or on canvas, like full color all the way through, full detail. Um, you can figure a lot more out because I'm going to take less risks in a tattoo, and in a painting I can take the risks and I can like figure it all out, and then after you figure it out you're like, oh well, I'm gonna tattoo that tomorrow.
Yeah.
So there's definitely a correlation. I definitely wouldn't even know what the fuck I'm doing unless I was drawing and painting.
Awesome. Awesome. So how would you like categorize the style of tattoos that you do? Because I know you're extremely diverse. You do a lot of awesome stuff. You do a lot of great color work. You do a lot of like space fantasy art. You
Yeah.
do a lot of nice biomac. Like, would you say that you're like one specific style, or are you really trying to just keep things diverse?
I think that it is, for me it is all the same stuff in a way. Um because I see it as like this fantasy color thing. Um, Even like the underwater stuff feels like kind of fantasy to me. Like anything that has like a lot of texture, you can fuck with like lighting and reflections is what I love. I like, yeah, texture and weird lighting. So I'm like across the board, texture and weird lighting wins, Like in the outer space seminar where I'm like, yo, you ever do rocks before? Fucking love tattooing rocks. And I'm
You
like, I
said
get to
those
do
exact
the
words and it
lighting.
changed my
Yeah.
life. It's like,
The
yeah, that's
lighting
cool.
and the little
But have you ever
details.
done a space rock?
That's the shit. Like, and then like they get blurry, like, and then they spread out. Man, space rocks. Try it sometime.
Yo.
So I think
Yeah.
everything I do is focused around that. Like, what's the texture? What's the lighting? And to me, it's like all very the same. But then if you like look at it, you're like, I don't know, you're doing space over here and a fucking chrome gooey space. I don't know what is that. You know.
Yeah.
So many octopuses. I do so many octopuses.
Yeah.
And I love that shit. Like, I'm like, let me put the
All
texture
that
in
tight
these
little texture in
pieces.
the skin and the suckers.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And like trying to figure out how to do it with like the best contrast. You know, because there's the old bold will hold, and I'm like, I disagree because I'm not gonna do big ass outlines. I do outlines on my stuff, but like chunks of black is gonna hold better than your thin ass outline. Check out my
Yeah.
contrast.
Right. It's so that's actually something that my perspective on it shifted a while back. While I do agree with, the outline theory of things,
Yeah, totally.
right? And I use air quotes there because, that's what they are referred to as. If
Yeah.
instead of looking at them as outlines, if instead you look at them as just small shapes, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You start to like formulate this different concept in your head because then you're like, okay, well, if it's just a shape, why can't that shape just blend into other shapes? Right. And now you've created an edge instead of a line. And that'll
Yeah.
give you the same thing as a hard outline. The difference is you're not going to see a hard outline. You're just going to see an edge.
Yeah, and
You
then
know?
people will be like, "Wait, did you outline that?" And you're like, "Well, technically, it's
I mean,
outlined, but it's like this trick of the eye, right? Like where
yeah.
somehow all the black is blended into shadows and stuff." So
Yeah.
I
So, I
love
mean,
that shit.
it's just a different way of looking at the same thing,
Yeah.
So if you could pick one thing or event that you would say had the biggest impact on the type and style of art that you do.
Ooh, the type and style. Man, it's Nick Baxter, seeing him
Yeah.
in the tattoo magazine with his, stupid little meat suitcase. Also, Paul Booth with like he had this flash that had a chopped off pinky wearing a tutu, and I was like, anything's possible, anything. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like those motherfuckers with their okay, it's not so serious, It's
Right.
like, I mean, it wasn't super serious before. I mean, wizards and fairies were pretty tight back then.
But those
Um,
exist.
yeah, but a chopped off pinky wearing a tutu.
I
Oh,
mean,
it's a weird motherfucker. I loved it.
yeah.
But that's from like way back. I must have been 15 in that magazine or that group. The guy who taught me would just like flip through tattoos he had saved. You know how everyone back then had files
Oh yeah.
of references and they weren't in a computer. Okay,
No, it
well
was a
this
big
motherfucker,
filing cabinet and you would pull out and you'd
yeah,
flip through looking for like lighthouse, 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 lighthouse. Here's the lighthouse folder.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so he had like kind of that system, but he had it was like a either a CD, like a burned CD or like a floppy that he had saved and scanned and took pictures of anytime he saw one of his favorite tattoos in a magazine or in person or something. And he would flip through like it was like 200 images and just like tell me who the artist was and what's going on and stuff. And I was like, oh, sick,
Damn.
So that's where I saw like Paul Booth, and then I saw Nick Baxter's, and like I just got a magazine one day and was like, what is he doing? I want to do that.
Yeah, a lot of younger tattooers won't quite know the adrenaline rush that you would get when you used to go to like the bookstores or the magazine shops and like they had a new issue out of like international tattoo art or tattoo magazine or tattoo society just dropped a new issue and you go over and you're like you pick it up and you're like, oh man, this is going to be a good one, and you just start flipping through right there like, oh, that's sick.
Also, the
That's
dream of
sick.
being in those magazines, like
Yeah.
the worst. I mean, no shade to those magazines, but like this quality is so early 2000s, 90s.
Yeah.
We're like, oh man, if only I could get a picture published. And I remember like sending off like, I don't know, like my first dog portrait and just being like sending them to the magazines. I'm like, oh, I hope they'll tell me if they do publish it.
Right. Yeah, that was how you knew you kind of made it, right? If
Yeah, yeah.
you
Oh, you
if
were
you got interviewed, you
amazing.
had a dedicated article in a tattoo magazine, you were
Oh my
there,
god.
man.
Then you're
You
a
were
god.
famous. You could do anything. It's like, oh, really? Well, how many times have you been published? Oh, yeah, you haven't,
I
have
don't
you?
even
Yeah,
think Nick Baxter had that was young Nick Baxter. He didn't
yeah.
even have, like, an interview or anything. He was just, like, something he sent in, and it was like,
But I think I remember seeing one specific magazine. They gave him like an entire half a page of
"Oh,
just
yeah,
one of his tattoos. And I was
that's
like,
sick."
that's awesome. But then you sit there and you stare at it and you're like, okay, but how did he do that?
Yeah, he's so sick.
Yeah. Yeah. Super, super nice guy too. Getting to hang out with him the past couple of years at Paradise has been awesome. Um,
Yeah, he is nice.
can't, oh yeah, just a really nice guy, very humble. So, let's see. So, knowing that this is a tattoo centric show, as I had mentioned before, if you had to pick one element of the tattoos and artwork that you create that you really try to stress and really try to focus on in every tattoo, what would it be and why?
I guess it depends on, like, what 3 years of my life we're talking about. But,
Fair enough.
it's
Fair
like
enough.
I focus hard on my weak points in tattooing, and so whenever I've, like, overcome a weak point, then I, like, zoom in on the next one, and I'm like, "Alright, what are we gonna do about this?" You know? I think, for the past maybe 7 years, I'm definitely like, I always want good contrast and I always want to talk the client into that good contrast, um, and not let them steer away from it in any way. And that seems to work out great. Um, I've also focused on like how I do a lot of like little details, and whenever I'm coloring, I leave room for those little details. So, like the whole obsession of like, how tight can I get it? I'm gonna get it so fucking saturated and tight. It's just like those, it's the basic tattoo principles, and I'm like obsessed with those. And then I'm also like, all right, I want to do more chrome,
Well, who doesn't want to tattoo more chrome things?
Yeah,
Doesn't matter what it
where
is.
did it
Doesn't matter.
go? It's coming back. I'm convinced.
I've seen a massive resurgence in all things Chrome over the past like 10 years. It's been awesome.
I'm
I'm
trying
like,
to throw
maybe,
it into like little tattoos, like or like whenever I'm working on the sleeve, I'm like, what can be chrome? Like,
oh, earring. Yeah, we can do that in Chrome. Oh, yeah, that's cool.
yeah. But
Maybe
sometimes
we'll
it
just
looks
give it like a
dated to
Chrome
people.
choker.
Yeah, yeah. Some people aren't as stoked. Luckily, my clients, I think I could convince most of them to add some chrome.
Yeah.
The
So,
sword I'm working on is I haven't done like, this sounds weird, but I've only done like I'll just show you.
yeah.
Like
Oh,
I'm trying to
shit.
figure out chrome in a straight line, and I haven't done a lot of that. It's normally curved, so I'm
Right.
fucking with like what that might look like. I'll do this like probably like 4 times before I'm like, yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, that's kind of the way that we evolve with what we do, and it's how we figure stuff out.
yeah,
You
yeah, it's
keep doing
fun.
it until it looks right to you. And then inevitably someone comes along and says, "That's cool, but like, have you tried it like this?"
And then you're like,
And and
hey,
then it like changes your whole mindset on like, "Oh crap.
people
Well,
do
let me
that
go
in
back through and
tattooing.
redo that." Well, I
I
mean, some
feel
of the
like,
people I hang out with do, but
yeah, that's true. The industry has changed.
it is, it is. And you're getting a lot more people that are getting out there and they're like, "Hey, listen, like here's my input on here's how I draw snakes, or here's how I would do scales to be more efficient at it, or chrome, or oh, you're doing a dagger. Cool. Let me show you a little trick that I use whenever I draw them, because like it's going to give you that like nice little like bevel kind of edge without really having to do a whole lot of work. We're starting to see a lot more sharing of that information now,
For real. I remember when I
which
was
is awesome.
younger, it was like you can't actually trust the information that they're telling you because they're trying to steer you in the worst direction. Oh man, I met a young tattooer the other day and she like worked at one of those types of shops where they're like more restrictive with information. And she was like, yeah, like some people put the stencil on with pine saw. And I was like, that's not pine saw, that's Dettol. And she was like, "Oh, I was told it was pine saw, and then I used it like when I was younger." And I was like, "They fuck with you. Like you have to understand this industry. They try to stop you from learning, and you have to take everything they say with a grain of salt, whoever it is." Unless you can fully trust them,
Right.
because now you're tattooing with pine saw, I'm like, it's Dettol. It
Yeah.
smells like pine saw. It looks like it's not. It's not pine saw.
No. No, it is
So,
not.
but
Yeah.
yeah, I'm glad that people share things. At
Yeah,
my
well,
shop, we're like always like just goofing off, We like love having each other around and shit. But
which is that to me, that's the way a studio should be. You know, you should be able to
yeah,
be there and goof off and have fun with people, but at the same time, you should also be able to turn around and be like, "Hey, you know that trick you used on the last galaxy you tattooed? Can you go over that with me real quick?"
yeah, we do that. We have
Yeah,
skill shares almost once a month where
that's
each
awesome.
artist can teach whatever they want to the other artist.
That's sweet.
And we all
That's
show
real
up and we're
sweet.
all so stoked. We're like, oh my God, show me. I taught like soldering, so people could fix their
Oh,
clip cords or lamps or whatever. And it was so fun because nobody's taught like them soldering before. And I'm like, oh, well, that's something I can take from, the a million years ago tattoo apprenticeship or whatever.
I
So,
was gonna say, what were they soldering? Needles? Were they making their own needles? Because that would be awesome.
no, I took a clip cord and I cut it into multiple pieces and then was like, okay, we're gonna repair this. So
Yeah. And
yeah.
here's how we're gonna fix it. Yep.
Yeah. And then when it works, everybody's like, yeah.
But does it work? Quick, turn it on.
Yeah. Sick.
So
But yeah, that's
growing
a
up,
really good system in a tattoo shop to have,
oh
like
yeah.
being able to have skill shares.
Yeah, that's awesome. Having that kind of a community aspect to where you work can be super important too, because it makes everyone better. And then as everyone improves and everyone gets better, the studio is just going to get better, and
Yeah.
everyone's going to benefit from it. So it's always good to have that kind of an environment. And I've worked in places before where it was very much, someone that didn't really know what they were talking about, that thought they knew what they were talking about, but
Bro
wasn't
science.
yeah, but wasn't humble enough to actually acknowledge the fact that they didn't know what they were talking about.
Yeah.
Um, because, well, I've been doing this for so many years and blah, blah,
You've been
blah.
doing it wrong for so
Yeah,
many
doesn't mean
years.
you're doing it
It's
right.
exhausting. Yeah.
It's like, congratulations on having a career of X number of years where you've been doing things wrong.
Well, some people get
Congratulations.
into it and they're just into making money. They're not into growing. And they're like
True.
into making money and like feeling like a badass.
Yeah.
And these are like the wrong reasons, maybe. I mean, yeah, it is fun to feel like a badass. We do put needles in people's skin and help
Yeah.
them through their screaming pain. That's pretty fucking cool. But I mean, I don't think that should be like the main objective.
Well, true. True. There are many other fields where you can do that for a living.
You can hurt people in lots of careers.
Yeah, and they will pay you handsomely for it too.
I don't want to hurt them.
Yeah, I don't like it, but unfortunately, it's a side effect of doing a tattoo. So it's kind of the price you got to pay.
Yeah. I don't mind the blood, and I don't like, do you smell the plasma? I can smell plasma. It's like
I got nothing.
it's a weird
No.
smell. But
I'll
that I'm always like,
take your
I'm like,
word
I
on
don't
that.
really mind that. Like, I don't really mind that I can smell their insides. Yum.
Plasma.
Yeah.
Is that I smell lavender with an undertone of plasma? Is that yes, that must be it. It's the subtle hint of green soap and plasma.
I'm
the
like, what
new
did you
cologne.
eat today? I think I can smell it in your blood.
You had garlic last night, didn't you?
They're like, my breath. I'm like, no, your plasma.
Oh man, we have too much fun together. It's not right. So, how do you determine your typical color palette on any given tattoo? Because you do really bright, beautiful, colorful tattoos. How do you pick?
I get all stoked on one color palette and I get obsessed with it for a certain amount of years and then I change it. Currently, it is golden yellow, teal, and orangey reds. And I've been putting it in, like, I've done an octopus tattoo that way. And, like, anytime I can use that color palette, I'm super into it. But yeah, it changes all the time. I mean, give it like 5 to 7 years. I think I get stuck on a color palette, but yeah.
Cool. Everyone's got like a different way that they choose. Some people are like, I don't use any blue in any of my tattoos. I actually know an artist that's that way. I don't think they own any. If they own a blue, it's like a blue gray or a cool gray.
What?
But
But blue is so reliable. At least, I mean, the ones that I like, they're
Trust
so
me.
reliable.
So when I was coming up in tattooing, I was always taught that, like, for people that have lighter skin tones, blue is the perfect contrasting color to it because we have a little bit of yellow in our skin.
Oh,
Some
like if
people
they're
have
pink
more
and
or
orange
less,
and yellow, and then you put the blue in.
and yeah, but blue's that natural complement to it.
Yeah.
It's going to contrast it the most.
Any
It's
warmer
going to be
skin,
awesome. Yeah.
the warmer skin gets the greens and the blues. Fucking sick. It brings out both.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's
I
like,
like
okay,
that.
cool. But, talking to this guy, I was like, what do you mean you don't own like a robin's egg blue? What
But
do you
he's right
mean?
though, because when people see that you're sticking to a color palette, whenever they see your work, they know it's you. So that's one of the reasons I think it's good to try to stick to a color palette as much as possible, because then it's going to be so automatic that they look at the work and they go, oh, is that Haley Adams? Yeah, I knew
Right.
that. They don't know why they knew that sometimes, but sometimes they know. It's like, oh, it's just those colors,
Yeah. Yeah.
Color
And
palette can really like make a statement,
absolutely. It's one way that artists can differentiate themselves from other artists by using a very specific, unique color palette. That's why I always like to ask that question, because getting a deeper understanding of why do people use certain palettes over other palettes, or why do they stick to using only like specific types of color schemes. Why do they do that? Is it because they're trying to create that signature look, or is it for some other reason? Is it because those are just their favorite colors? Is it
I feel
because
like
maybe they're colored different? Maybe they
Yeah.
can't see specific tones, so they never use them.
Oh
So
yeah, Ty McEwen is colorblind.
there's a couple of people out there that are either colorblind or color different, that are phenomenal with color, but you would almost never know it by looking at the tattoos that they do until someone points out that, like, oh yeah, you probably haven't ever seen them do this kind of a color scheme, and then
Yeah.
they're like, oh. But I just always find it interesting to find out why people choose the colors that they do.
Yeah, I did that seminar with or I was learning at the seminar with Tony Moore, the comic book illustrator. And his thing with color is evoking emotion and what he's trying to convey in the story. And that was a really good seminar. But he's an illustrator. He is trying to tell a story with every image. And there's definitely information in that we should take on as tattooers, like we're also trying to tell a story in a lot of cases.
Well, there's so I got the privilege to interview Gunnar this past summer,
Mhm.
before Paradise, and looking at some of the paintings that he's done in the past couple of years, you can see that he's using the same kind of philosophy there. And that was something
Yeah,
that he
his
really
are
tried to hone
very
into.
storytelling.
Yeah. So,
That's so cool.
like I said, it's always a curiosity of mine, and I know different people have different reasonings behind it. So it's something I always like to ask.
Yeah.
Do you prefer to work on large scale multi-session pieces, or do you like some of the smaller, like one shot, one and done, kind of tattoos that you do?
I think I like the larger stuff. I mean, that's what I get mostly is big pieces. So then it does make whenever I get a smaller piece exciting. Because I'm like, wow, this is gonna be done in a couple sessions, and we get to see it done. Ooh. But working on the big pieces is really satisfying. Like you get to see like a whole arm complete. You're like, it's it. I think it took time for me in my career to like be able to like fathom and like buckle down and get a sleeve done because I feel like it's like a oil painting. Like you could work on it forever. It's like no, absolutely not. You gotta fucking go. You can just
Cool.
like layer colors and like keep fucking with like the lighting and stuff. If somebody like let me have their arm for like I don't know a few years, then the things we could build.
Right? Imagine the amount of refinement that you could create, the level of detail you could
Yeah.
achieve, and then the
Hmm.
layering capabilities, and then
He'd be in
you
with
could
like a single needle, like doing some weird shit. And you're like, did you see that detail over there? There's a whole fucking scenery in those sunglasses, like a real scenery. But you can't tell unless you look up close. It's all done in gray. Like,
right, right?
I feel like
Or
you
like,
could
you
go
see this
crazy with
asteroid
it.
over here? If you look at it in just the right way, you can actually see Nicolas Cage's face, you know? But it's
Exactly.
only it's
Like
only that
really,
big, so you have to be really close to it.
really, it's a whole sleeve of Nicolas Cage's face, but
I
it
mean,
looks like outer space.
that would be pretty cool. The different
That's pretty
stages
sick.
of Nicolas Cage.
That would take years.
Yes. Yes. I think it should be crowned by a picture of him from Con Air, though, because that was one of
Yeah.
my favorites growing up.
Yep. Con Air. Oh,
But
I like The Rock a lot.
yeah, that was a
That
good one
shit
too.
is
That was a
good.
good
I
one.
like those weird green beads that they're not allowed to let touch the ground, so he puts it in his mouth. I'm always like, damn, I want one of those in my mouth. Those things look like all squishy.
Yeah.
But they like will explode you or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the what they're talking about, the chemical that's supposed to be inside them, in all actuality, is some of the nastiest stuff that's ever been created by man. Um,
Damn. I
yeah,
know it was
it's
real. I thought they made it up.
no, it's completely real.
Wow. Does it look that beautiful?
I don't know. I honestly don't really want to find out either.
Yeah,
Because like
for
I don't
real.
want to get anywhere near that stuff.
Unless Sean Connery is around.
Well,
I'm
yeah,
not
if
going
he's around, fine. Because I know I'll be cool, right? I mean, the man was not only James Bond for a number of years, but he has been he was in the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. So I mean, the dude's gonna live forever, even though I think he might have actually died already. But that's okay. We'll
Oh
bring him
shit,
back.
really?
We'll bring him back.
I didn't know Sean, is he? Is he dead?
I
It's
I
not
I
important.
don't know. I mean, I haven't
I don't
seen
know.
him in
I hope
anything in a
not.
long time, but you know,
He's probably like being a grandpa somewhere and like,
which is awesome. Sean Connery, if
yeah.
you're watching, thank
If
you for
you're
all that you
watching,
have done for everyone.
I hope
Not
to
that I
God he's
think you'll be
watching. That
watching
sounds
this, but
great.
you know, if you do end up, maybe someone sends you this clip. I don't know, but you are an inspiration.
You're
Um,
an inspiration to all of us tattooers.
yes, yes. The man is
Yeah.
so versatile. So, what have been some of your biggest challenges that you have faced in the past in creating art or tattoos, and how have you overcome them?
Oh my God. Biggest challenges. I can say my biggest challenge as a tattoo artist was like this one point, like 10 years into my career, I started having these panic attacks, and that was fucking horrifying. And figuring that out was like probably the hardest thing that I've gone through in my career, you know? Like, because it would be like performance anxiety, like maybe like my hands would shake, so I couldn't tattoo. So I'd be like, well, what the fuck? I guess my like life and career is over, you know.
Yeah,
Um, but turns out we always say we'll do anything to make panic attacks or anxiety stop. We'll do anything. We say that. And normally that means like a new medication or something like that, which I did get on propanol, and that was great for a while, which is just a beta blocker. It doesn't make you
yeah,
feel high or anything. It's pretty tight. But I wanted to be like off of it more. And the anything is exercising and meditation. That's the actual answer. But I will do so many things before I'm running. I will not run, you know? So it has to be, so I'm like, oh, I'm just going to end my life. Like, you know, I can't tattoo anymore. I do anything to stop it. And then when you find out that if you run from your anxiety, literally, then it brings it down way low. And then, but that's like the one thing you don't want to do. Like,
right.
I don't want to go outside and run. Um,
Yeah,
and then there's also, you can't be controlled by something you don't fear. So if you're not scared of being anxious and shitting yourself in front of your client or just looking stupid, if you're not scared of it, it goes away. That's fucking crazy. It's a
yeah.
mind fuck, you know? You're like, oh, now I'm not scared of you. Come on, bring on your worst. Make me like cry in front of someone and shake and fucking pass out. And then when it doesn't come, it's like kind of disappointing because you already gave up. I'm like, I gave up. Make me do something weird. Like,
Right.
done. You know, you already gave up. Now you're not controlled by it, so it like moves on to the next person to haunt. I don't
It's
know.
like, oh, well, they're no fun anymore. I'm gonna
Yeah,
go
like
over
you're not
here.
scared of me. It's like I'm gonna make you shit yourself in front of your client. You sure you're not scared? And I'm like, I'm ready to shit. Like,
Yeah. I had tacos yesterday. I'm
yeah,
prepared.
fucking bring it. And then it's like, man, fuck you. Like,
Yeah.
it's out of there. It's weird. But that like took a long time to figure out, and it was fucking horrifying. I was like, what am I gonna do? I'm just gonna like be a recluse or something. I don't know. Everybody, a lot of people go through that, so it's nice to
True.
talk about.
Very true. What would you say some of your current challenges are?
Being too excited about life and putting too many things on my plate. I do
Guilty.
that. Yeah, I'm just like
Guilty.
want to do everything, like everything. Um, I'm just I'm so excited about like the tattoo shop and like the direction it's going, and I'm excited about my work. I'm excited about teaching these seminars coming up this year. I'm excited about the past tattoo conference that I threw last year, the queer
Yeah,
tattoo conference.
tell us a little bit about that. Plug it.
That was amazing. That is probably one of the scariest things I've ever done in my life because I feel like I had to like take $35,000 or so and bet that I could pull it off to in a contract with the hotel, you know? And like we didn't have money to start with. We were doing it like ticket sales or whatever. We're just gonna make it happen, you know? Um, so like signing a piece of paper that says, if I fail, I'll owe the hotel $35,000 was, I'm like, what? How fucking cocky am I? Like, that I
Right.
think, because after I signed it, I was like, is there something wrong with me? Like, am I just really into gambling? I don't know. Well, we did great, and we sold more tickets than we thought we would, and we did seminars, multiple seminars every day, and it was a blast. And me and Leslie, who we were like partners on it, with like the brain work, you know, she was like, you know what? This is scary. We hope it goes well, but if we change one person's life, it's worth it, right? And I'm like, yeah, one person. And I was like, I kind of want three, but you know. And then we had I don't know, like 50 people, like a whole lot of fucking people were constantly coming up to us going, you changed my fucking life, man. This is amazing. Like the inspiration, you know, like, because it was a tattoo conference that was all for queer and ally tattooers. So a lot of like queer tattooers don't go to um, conferences because the intimidation factor is real. It's like it's mostly straight dudes, and you get some weird questions about yourself, or like maybe they also just disagree with your existence. I don't know. It's scary to take chances in the world whenever you're like kind of like risking your life in some ways, right? It depends on which part of America you're in. In North Carolina, definitely you're risking your life, you know. So to like be able to be like, hey, come to this conference, like it's like 100%, like it's not weird here, like 100%, or maybe the other way, you can be as weird as you want here. Like I don't know, like for sure, everybody here accepts you, and it's not going to be an issue, and nobody's going to try to attack you, you know. So that was like the space we were given, or like we pulled together, and it was also diverse, like with like more BIPOC people I've seen in a conference ever, and with the teachers actually being diverse and the invites being diverse and stuff. You know, like I like wanted to see that really hard. We had one of our seminars was like anti-racism in tattooing, which is something that I feel like should be pushed more often, obviously. You know, everyone needs to know about it. Even if you think you know about it, it'd be fun to know more about it, you know? I think that's like one of the coolest things I've done in my life so far because of how fucking amazing it went. It felt like summer camp or something. And I was like under a lot of pressure and horrified. And I had to do my least favorite thing ever,
Right.
or it's like my most scary thing, which is public speaking. But I've gotten good at it. I took like boot camp, public speaking boot camp and stuff, and I've like made it through. And now I'm less scared. I'm just, yeah, crazy. That shit was cool as.
Yeah. Are you doing it again?
I'd like to do it again, but
Maybe like an every other year kind of thing, or every
yeah,
couple
it's
of
a
years?
lot of work, and I kind of want to do it with like more. We got a good amount of sponsors, and we sold a lot of tickets and stuff. But I think I would like to do it with maybe a grant or do a fundraiser, a big fundraiser first, because it's horrifying to risk all of the money you have in your life.
Yeah.
It's also a lot of work to put it together. It took 9 months. I feel like it'll be faster this time because we like know how we did it last time. But like, are we ready to be that stressed out again? Me and Leslie were like, you know, giving every bit of ourselves to that in
Yeah.
hopes that it would work out. So I know that the dedication is real and I know the payoff is high. Not financially, we broke even, but
Right. Right.
which is what we wanted, which was our goal, and that's we didn't strive to get more than that. But we got our like hotels paid for and got paid for any like seminars we taught, stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know. I would love to do it again. I think I want to do it every 3 years or maybe next year. Yeah.
Well, that sounds awesome. Absolutely awesome. Obviously, if there's ever any way I can help, let me know.
Oh yeah, you can
Um,
come fucking hang with us. This shit is
I mean,
so
all right.
fun.
Don't
Yeah.
tempt me with a good time. I mean, oh darn.
Yeah.
Shucks.
I think some
You
people
know?
are like, "Wait, am I allowed to go?" And I'm like, do you hate crime gay people? Do you like them?" Like, they're like, "No." I'm like, "Then come on, let's
Yeah,
go."
then it's a good time.
It's
Come
just
on
a,
down.
we're just like generally trying to make a safe space and like people who like accept fucking queer and trans people. They're like,
Yeah,
yeah, it's nice. Yeah, no, it's so fun. You should definitely come next time.
definitely. Well, I'm sure we'll keep in touch even after this. And I mean, worst case scenario, I'm going to see you at Paradise Gathering this year. So that's going to be awesome.
Yeah, that'll
Um,
be awesome.
but yeah, we'll definitely keep in touch and I'll have to plan that out for sure. And that's taking place in San Francisco.
Our next one we're gonna do in San Francisco. This
Okay.
time we did it in New Mexico because me and Leslie really needed a vacation. She's got family from there and stuff, and
Gotcha.
a bunch of homie hookups. Like the guy who did Game of Thrones has a bookstore and theater there, and he let us use it for our seminars and stuff. And
That's
that was
awesome.
sick. Yeah, the whole place was beautiful and amazing, and it was nice to be able to like support like a local indigenous hotel and all that. So it was like a good retreat, like wholesome as fuck.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's awesome. So now I've got like one or two little personal questions for you. Do you travel often?
So I was really focused on this whole getting a tattoo shop in San Francisco thing that I hadn't ever traveled much in my life, but recently I went to, and I've obviously traveled around America a lot. America's so big, you know. But recently I went to Barcelona and I got to see my favorite paint palette of those old Spanish paintings in real life and all of the beautiful architecture and stuff. And I'm so excited to travel more. I'm going to go to Ireland this year and I
Ireland's
don't
a
know, maybe
blast.
Berlin.
It's a
Yeah, I've never
blast.
been. I gotta go
Oh my
for a
god.
wedding. I'm gonna stay in a castle.
Lucky. So I went to Dublin a couple of years back and worked at the Dublin Tattoo Convention. And that was an absolute blast. Everyone that I met over there was just so nice and friendly and welcoming. I went and did a traditional Irish lock-in, which is basically, you drink at a bar until, it's time to close. And instead of actually closing, they just go up to the front door and lock the front door and shut the blinds. And then they're like, all right, keep going, and you
Yeah.
can stay there until like 6 in the morning if you want. Right. And everyone's just getting hammered. And I think at one point, I think it was like 4 in the morning, everyone was just so hammered that we were, people were outside smoking cigarettes, making noise and stuff. And it was a small corner pub, right, in a residential area. And people would go out on their balconies from apartments and scream at us to shut the hell up, that, they had to go to work the next day in like 4 hours. And we were like, well, that gives you time to come and drink. Come on down. Like, so everything got broken up around 4 because we were just too far gone. But it was a great time to really get to talk to a lot of the local people, really get a vibe for the environment of what it's like there. And it was
Mhm.
absolutely incredible. I even made some friends from other countries while I was there. I'm still friends with him to this day. He works out in Kuala Lumpur out in Malaysia. Um, Super nice guy, super awesome tattooer. But I met him at the Dublin show, and we've just stayed in touch ever since. It was awesome. But that's kind of the culture that they try to promote, and it's the culture that they really want to see, is that kind of, very intimate, very kind of personal, kind of collaborative tattoo scene. So I just thought
Cute.
it was amazing. But everyone I met there was like, "Oh, you're from across the pond. Yeah, come hang out with us. Tell us about what it's like there."
Oh,
Um,
that's sweet.
and I'm like, "Yeah, it's the U.S. Like, yeah,
That's
it
wholesome
is
as
what it
fuck.
is."
And
Um,
I love Barcelona. And they have a lot of skateboarding for one. Shred. That shit's awesome. I like to skate.
did not know
But
that. Okay,
yeah, huge skateboard culture there. But also it was like you have to be real quiet out on the streets after a certain point, but you can party inside. But as soon as you walk outside, you gotta be like, and if you talk a little bit, people are like, shh. You're like, that's wild.
you
But
said a whisper after 10 o'clock.
I was like, I liked experiencing it, but then I was also excited to come back to like San Francisco where people are rowdy. Like I know in America we're loud and rowdy and stuff, and I'm like, I can respect that in other countries, and then like come back home and be like, woo, like. But
Yeah.
Ireland, I mean, shit, that sounds fun. I'm in.
Oh, it was awesome. Absolutely awesome. I keep meaning to get in touch with a couple people I know that work at shows overseas, try to find out what I have to do to make that happen in the next couple of years. Because I'd love to go over. I would love to get accepted into and work at the Paris show.
Ooh,
My
that'd be
life's
sick.
goal is to work at Gods of Ink, the Mickey Violetto show. That's like my life's goal right
Sick,
now,
you're gonna
to
do it.
get good enough to actually be accepted into that show. And like, and then once that happens, it's like, okay, I got accepted in. Now I need to be good enough that I can take home like best of show or tattoo of the day or something like that from that show. Right. So it's
Yeah,
these like super high goals I set for myself, but they're
you
all
love that shit.
international goals, you know? Um, so it's something I started focusing on about 10 years ago. Was cool, like, yeah, the US is great and it's huge, it's awesome, but like there's a world out there with a lot more people in it.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh man, like if most of the world's population exists outside of the US, statistically speaking, I can tattoo more people in the rest of the world. And then maybe if they have money, they can fly out and get tattooed by me in the US. That'd be cool too.
Yeah, that's
You
sick.
build those client relationships, you spark it up with someone, and next thing you know, it's like, oh, hey, guess what? I'm gonna be in, Philadelphia in a couple of months. Got time to squeeze me in for a tattoo? Absolutely. I will make the room for you. You know, if I have to move people around, I will make sure you get in, because that's kind of the
Yeah,
business
that's
model that I like
nice.
to have. And that's, I want to tattoo people from everywhere and hear their stories and like what it's like, because
I
that
feel like
it's
I
a
get
very
that
different
here
experience. Well, you
in San
do in the
Francisco.
US,
In San Francisco,
absolutely.
people visit San Francisco as this. It's the beacon for like LGBTQ, right? People. I've met people from like the Middle East and like Berlin and all around the world, and even like Appalachian Mountains. Like places that you can't be as open. So we get to tattoo all those people from around the world and hear their stories.
That's
Um,
awesome.
I think that whenever I was a kid, we moved like every year and sometimes less and whatever. That the instability of that is made me like crave a home, like a place where I could like just be and like build this life and have all these wonderful friends and like know that I'm not going to move. Um, is really satisfying to me. But I love traveling.
Yeah.
But I'm so happy to have like roots in a place where I can be like, yeah, this is home. Like I've
Right.
got buds here. Yeah, I'm not
Right.
going anywhere, you know?
Oh no, I feel you. I feel you. Um, so second to last question, and then I'll let you go because I know you're probably super busy. But if you had to give one piece of advice to any new budding artist out there, what would it be?
New. Okay. Do your bloodborne pathogens and don't disrespect like people's skin. Like wait, do stuff on fake skin until you think that you're ready to do a solid piece on your friend. Practicing on actual humans, they say they don't care at the time, and they say they want a free tattoo right then, and they say when they're young that they don't mind that it's a little gritty. But how many people I've met who won't wear tank tops anymore, who won't wear short sleeve shirts, who always cover that area of their skin because they grew out of that, like, oh, I don't care if it's bad or good or whatever, I just want a tattoo, um, is a real fucking thing. So have some respect for people's skin and, you know, learn to do what you want to do pretty decent before you start putting it on people's bodies. That would be great because my cover ups, they pay the bills for me. I love doing them and I love changing people's lives, but it'd also be great if they didn't have to go 10 years without wearing fucking shorts, you know?
Yeah. Very solid, very good advice. Absolutely. And thank you for that because that it rings true on a whole bunch of different levels. So
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Be good
Um,
to people. You're like, oh, well,
yeah,
they just wanted it. They wanted a cheap tattoo. Of course, they want a cheap tattoo. They're fucking 22 years old. Like,
and they probably don't have a lot of money, and everyone wants to get a lot of tattoos. But I mean,
to
come
do a
on.
cheap, good tattoo. Can you
Uh,
do that? That'd be nice. Practice on. We have fake skin now. Whenever
mm,
I was an apprentice, we didn't have fake skin. We had pig skin. So you're
yeah,
getting off easy. You don't got to smell that shit.
truth, truth.
That stuff is wild. You got to
Yeah,
shave its weird, coarse hair.
yeah. Ugh. Sorry, it's
It
bringing back
already
bad
has a
memories.
tattoo from the
Yeah,
meat market.
right. So, final question for you, and then I'll let you go. But what truths have you found that are simple but not easy about, technique, process, the industry, life in general? Um, Simple but not easy truths.
um, the truth is that nothing's actually scary and life is just a stupid video game. So if you need to call your landlord to get your sink fixed, you should just call them. But like for everything though, like it's just like, well, why can't you do that? Like just do it. There's no like amount of experience or something that you're supposed to have as an adult before you're allowed to go after your fucking dreams or make your life less stressful or like confront your problems healthily. You know, like just just treat it like a video game. Like I don't know. Even like eating food is like, oh, I need energy. Bop, bop, bop. And then now what? Oh, I'm gonna try to complete this quest of for me, owning a tattoo shop or creating the best possible work environment that I can. How do I do that? Here are the steps. Let's go. You know, break
Yeah.
everything into small pieces, make it possible, set high goals for yourself.
Awesome. Awesome.
Sounds simple, right?
Right, right. Sounds
It
simple,
ain't easy.
right? Very, very profound. Thank you for
if
that.
if something's overwhelming, break it into small pieces. You can fucking do it
Yes, you can.
and
It's
do
like
it
the
through
old,
the fear.
reminds me of the old saying, how did a guy walk 1,000 miles? One step at a time.
Mhm.
It's the truth.
I think some people are waiting till they're not scared.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the whole thing is do it scared. Always do it scared. Doesn't
Yeah,
fucking matter. That's the difference. You'll just be more proud of yourself. You're not gonna just be unscared. Call your
it's very
landlord.
true.
Fix your sink. Do it scared. Yep, right. Like
Famous Haley Adams quote: "Call your landlord, fix your sink."
come on.
That's
Break
awesome.
with your shitty boyfriend or girlfriend. Like, just do it. It's scary. Just do it. What about your whole life? Like,
Truth. Truth.
yeah. Do it scared.
Cool. Well, tell us how we can get in touch with you if we want to book an appointment or, check out some of your work. How would we get a hold of you? How would we see your stuff?
So Haley Adams Tattoos is where my book now button is. Also, my Instagram, H Adams Tattoo. Both of them have a book now button. You just put in your little consult form and we do it. Also, any messages are welcome.
Awesome. Awesome.
And the shop is Castro Tattoo in San Francisco, in the historical LGBTQ district of San Francisco. It's awesome. It's fun to be there and check out. And if you've never seen it before, you should see it. It's so cool.
Definitely. Definitely. Well, thank you for your time today. You don't have to head out right away. I'm just going to kind of shut down the stream. But thank you for your time today, and thank you for jumping on here. Can't wait to see you at Paradise Gathering this year. It's going to be an absolute blast. Don't be surprised if I hit you up a few times before then, just kick it with you and pick your brain about a few things. But thank you very, very much for taking the time out to do this today. Really,
thank you,
really
Jason.
appreciate it. You're more than welcome.
You.
And we do this show every Monday at noon. So if you want to jump on and work on some drawings, work on some flash, chit chat about life, anything like that, you're always more than welcome to jump in. I usually send out a group text every Monday with like the link to join to a whole bunch of different people. So I'll just throw you into the group chat, and that way you'll start getting spammed by me every Monday at like 11. Like, yo, here's the link for today. Don't know if any of you guys are going to join, but here you go.
I'm in.
Yeah, it's a good time. Good people. Sometimes we get other people in. I think there's one or two other interviews scheduled in the next few weeks, but obviously I'll let you know about that in advance so that you're not like, oh, hey, how's it going? I'm working on a drawing. What's up, guys? Oh, this is not a drawing day. But if you feel like jumping into those too, you're always more than welcome. So, but thank you very much for your time. It's greatly appreciated. Everyone go check out Haley Adams, HaleyAdamsTattoo.com, correct? Awesome.
Yeah.
And Castro Tattoos.
And thanks for everybody who responded and watched today. And thank you for Creatures Cave and Paulina. Yeah, cool.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. And I hope everyone keeps their hands busy and has a great day today. And I will catch everyone next Monday at noon for the next episode of Skill Building Mondays with me, Jason Leeser. Until then, keep those hands busy, and I'll see you guys next week.